Snow Prep School presents weather. Weather is the word we use to describe what is happening outside. It could be rainy, sunny, cloudy, windy, hot, cold, cool, warm, snowy, breezy. All these words describe weather. Understanding the weather is important. The weather is all around us, all the time, and it is uncontrollable. Take a second to think about the thought question. Can you think of 3 more types of weather before you move on? Weather is made up of these 6 things: temperature, atmospheric pressure, wind, humidity, cloudiness, and precipitation. Since we cannot control the weather, we make predictions about it. When you look at a weather forecast, the weather is shown using icons like these. In order to measure something, we need an instrument and a unit of measure so that the measurement makes sense. For measuring how much we weigh, we use a scale, and we use the unit of measure pounds. For measuring how long something is, we use a ruler and measure in inches or centimeters. In weather measurements, we use a hygrometer to measure humidity, a thermometer to measure temperature, a barometer to measure air pressure, and an anemometer to measure wind. Scale is a term we not only use to describe an object that weighs things, it is also a generic term used to describe the units of measure on an instrument such as a thermometer. Temperature is how we measure hot and cold. Temperature is usually higher during the day and lower at night. Temperature is recorded using a thermometer. The units of measure in the thermometer are called Fahrenheit or Celsius. Fahrenheit measures temperature in degrees Fahrenheit, but Celsius does not use a unit of measure. All scientists use the Celsius scale to record temperature. Americans use the Fahrenheit scale. Thought question: why is the temperature higher during the day and cooler at night? The instrument used to measure temperature is called a thermometer. A thermometer has 2 main parts: 1, a sensor, 2, a scale. The sensor can be mercury in the bottom of the bulb of a traditional thermometer or a digital sensor inside an electronic device. The scale is on the column of the traditional thermometer and is measured in units called degrees when using the Fahrenheit scale. Room temperature is about 70 degrees, body temperature is 98.6 degrees, and water freezes at 32 degrees. Prediction: what temperature do you think the ocean is at Miami Beach on a summer day? Each thermometer on this page shows a temperature. I want you to look at the boxes and check which one most closely matches the temperature on the thermometer. Here's some things you need to know. Body temperature is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Miami Beach Ocean in July is about 86 degrees, and the South Pole in the summer is about 10 degrees. Now, which one of these thermometers show each one of those temperatures? Atmospheric pressure is the weight of the air above us, and we measure it using an instrument called a barometer. When the atmospheric pressure changes, so does the weather. If the atmospheric pressure is high, it usually signals cool temperatures and clear skies. If the atmospheric pressure is low, that signals warm weather and possible storms. Let's make a prediction. This is a barometer. Look at both pictures, then make a guess. Is it showing high pressure or lower pressure? Precipitation is the release of water from the atmosphere to the Earth's surface as a solid or liquid. It includes rain, snow, hail, sleet, and dew. Precipitation is part of the water cycle. The water cycle describes how water moves and has 4 steps. Percolation is movement of water through soil. Evaporation is when the sun turns water into vapor and it rises up in the atmosphere. Condensation is when water vapor forms clouds. And precipitation is water falling from the clouds as rain, snow, or sleet. There are many types of precipitation. The most common forms are listed here. These 3 might be unfamiliar. Sleet is a combination of snow and rain. Hail is frozen ice balls, and fog is really a low-hanging cloud. We use a rain gauge to measure how much rain falls in a specific area. Rain doesn't fall evenly from place to place. It can be raining at your house and not at your friend's house. So weather reports rely on local people with home weather stations to report precipitation amounts. A rain gauge is part of this home weather station. It also has 2 parts, a cup to hold water and a scale on the side of the cup. The scale on a rain gauge is measured in inches. Thought question: why can the rain be so different from place to place? Now we have a picture of 4 rain gauges. I want you to look at the pictures and then choose one of the boxes that best describes how much water is inside the rain gauge. Pause the video if you need some time. Let's think about the water cycle a little more. Read the 4 steps below. Percolation is movement of water through soil. That's number 1 on the picture. Evaporation is when the sun turns water into vapor and it rises up in the atmosphere. That's number 2 on the picture. Condensation is when water vapor forms clouds. That's number 3 in the picture. And precipitation is water falling from the clouds as rain, snow, or sleet. That's number 4 in the picture. This step is part of the weather. The clouds collect the water vapor until they are saturated. That means they cannot hold any more water vapor, and it's time for the water to fall out of the cloud in the form of rain, snow, sleet, and hail. Most of this precipitation falls back into the oceans or onto land as water. When a bunch of water droplets and ice crystals mix with dust in the air, they make the puffy thing we call a cloud. When the sun heats up water on the earth, some of that water lifts up into the air in the form of vapor. When the water vapor reaches the cloud, a few things happen. 1, it bumps into other water droplets. 2, these water droplets combine to become bigger water droplets. And 3, it also bumps into stuff like dust and dirt and smoke. This is how a cloud is made. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the air. Hot air holds more water than cool air. We measure humidity using a unit called percent and a label of relative humidity. When the relative humidity is 100%, it means the air is saturated and cannot hold any more water. That means it needs to rain. Here's a thought question. What is the scientific name for the process of water lifting up into the air? Hint, look back on your water cycle diagram. Wind is the movement of air. Wind forms when temperature and atmospheric pressure in 2 nearby places are different. Wind blows from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure. We measure wind using an instrument called an anemometer. This tool requires a computer sensor to measure the speed in units called miles per hour, or mph. A windsock is an easy, low-tech way to measure wind speed and direction just by looking at the shape of the sock. A hanging windsock means there is little to no wind. A sock blowing level with the ground means the wind is very strong. A season is a portion of the year that has certain characteristics. As the seasons change, weather also changes. This happens because the Earth is tilted on its axis, so there is more direct sunlight in some seasons than others. Here are the Northern Hemisphere seasons. The axial tilt of the Earth and the way the Earth moves around the sun both contribute to the changing weather of the seasons. Winter is from December through March. Spring is from March through June. Summer is June through September. And fall is September through December. Here's a thought question. Which season gets the least amount of sun? Which season gets the most? The amount of sunlight changes as the Earth orbits the sun. In the spring and fall, the Earth is getting about the same amount of sun in all areas. But in the winter, the top of the Earth gets less sun than the bottom of the Earth. In summer, the top gets more sun than the bottom. This is why we have seasons. Here's a thought question. Think of a reason why seasons might be important for people. Hint, what do plants do in the winter? Let's play Check the Weather. Study the weather reports in the phone app, then answer the questions below. Pause the video so you can do the exercise. Everyone checks the weather when they travel. Your job in this exercise is to figure out what the weather is like before you take your trip around the world by answering the questions listed below. Make sure and pause the video so you have time to answer the questions.